Three examples of very poor or very strange decision making. Here is an interesting little conundrum. We've got a house which looks like it was probably built in the 1930s, and it's got, what you can see from here, is a new tiled roof. Well, why not tile your roof? I don't know. The one next door looks like it's got its original roof, which looks okay, but there you go. And you can just about see where the two tile coverings join. There's a bonding gutter, so this is sort of an apron which extends underneath the two different kinds of tile to make it watertight, really. So any water that gets in that gap between the two, because they're not going to overlap properly, will be mopped up by this bonding gutter. But anyway, so a new roof over a 1930s house, which may be fair enough. However, when we get inside the roof, we find a new roof frame, a completely new roof frame. Now, what on earth persuaded the people who owned this 1930s semi-detached house, which probably had a roof which looks exactly like this one, to completely rebuild the roof? I mean, I can't think of a good reason. The only explanation that seems to be springing to mind is there are little traces of, if I can find them, well, if you look at that ceiling joist down there, spray foam insulation. So a bit more yellowy gunk down there, and I suppose tiny bits of it splattered on the wall as well, tiny bits. So it looks like, rather than paying somebody to scrape it all off, they seem to have gone ballistic and actually chucked the whole roof in the bin and built a new one. Seems a bit excessive to me, but will have solved the living daylights out of the problem. Anyway, what have we got? We've got rafters which meet the roof ridge. You can't really see that because there's a fluorescent tube under the top. The rafters are supporting on this horizontal timber which is sitting in the party wall and extending over there to the hip. So this timber is a purlin, so it's providing support to the rafters and it's providing lateral bracing. It's tying them all together. That timber there, this end of the roof is called a hip, and these timbers here are called hip timbers, and the rafters are meeting the hip timbers, and the hip timbers, what was I going to say, the hip purlin is also sitting on those hip timbers, and we've got struts under the purlins, one at the hip end, one at the front, one at the back, and these struts are taking the load down to some point in the middle of the house where I assume there's a load-bearing masonry wall below. The rafters want to push the roof or push the walls outwards. Basically they want to collapse, so they've got to be stopped from slipping forwards, and that's done by the ceiling joists, which you can see meet the rafters. Meet the feet of the rafters. Come on. There you go. The ceiling joists are original, and you can see just below there, they're sitting on a timber called a wall plate. And that sits on top of the walls. Doesn't want to focus down there, does he? So the rafters, ceiling joists and the wall plate all meet and are all nailed together. Then we do have a hip out there which wants to push outwards as well, and that needs pulling back in, and that seems to be getting pulled in by one solitary timber going that way. There it is. Something called a ceiling joist binder. Well, probably not a ceiling joist binder primarily, is it? Ceiling joist binders provide lateral bracing over the ceilings. That timber there might be doing that, but its principal function, I think, is to tie the hip back into the house. Anyway, it seems to be almost completely a replica of the original 1930s roof, which was probably doing a perfectly good job, but who knows. is an interesting little job. I mean, I'm not going to go through the whole house, I'm just not in the mood, but it's an end of terrace house. So only looking at those two windows to the left of the property, that's our house. It's a bit neglected and scruffy anyway, but the roof's the interesting thing. So if we just zoom in on the roof, and there it is, and absolutely nothing interesting about that roof from here. So let's go and have a look inside. Right, so even before we've got off the ladders, we've got a sawn-off strut there and a doubled up. That's a sawn-off hanger and a doubled up strut. Anyway, let's get in. Let's get in and have a look about. Right. So it's a truss drafter roof, but look, the hangers are sawn off there. The hangers are sawn off there, and we've got sawn off hangers everywhere. So sawn off struts. There we go. So why would anyone do that? And somebody has had to reinstate what appear to be whole struts, not whole struts, whole trusses. So down there we've got a sawn off hanger, and alongside it we've got a completely new truss. Hanger, strut, rafter, the whole lot. So I guess this is one of those oddball cases where somebody has decided they want to do something interesting with their roof space, got irritated with all these ziggy-zaggy bits of timber everywhere, and decided to improve the situation by just sawing them all out. Then you've got a nice big open space you can do something useful with, overlooking that they're not there just for fun. It's called a roof structure, and without a roof structure the roof collapses. We've got an old felt underlay there, but much of it has this modern plastic underlay, which I guess you have to take the roof covering off in order to get these trusses back into the house. So I guess that's a replacement for well, just access purposes really. And you can see down there they've even duplicated, doubled up on the ceiling joists. So I think a completely new roof has gone in alongside the old roof, which was probably just left in place to hold up the tile covering really. And we've got metal straps that have gone in to tie the roof frame to the gable wall of the house. Those aren't as comprehensive as would be required in a new roof, and we've got bracing which has been fixed over the rafters, but only over the rafters. There's nothing over the struts and hangers, so that's a shortcoming in terms of modern building regulations. So I guess this major overhaul took place, I don't know, maybe during the 1980s, so quite a long time ago. Now then, having assumed I'd sussed everything out, this is a little conundrum, because what we've got here is a socket in the wall. Does that look like a socket? Sorry about waving my torch around, but there you see, and that looks like it's a space in there for a purlin to go in. So what does that tell me? It doesn't tell me anything really, it confuses me. And over there, same again, another purlin sized socket in the wall. And if we go over to the other side, just got a messy wall there. That makes it all a bit more confusing. So in conclusion, I think somebody commenced a roof space conversion. They've cut those sockets to put purlins in as part of the roof space conversion. Never finished it, or it was a failure, or there was no building regulations or something like that. So somebody has reinstated the original truss rafter roof. That's probably the story. This is an old house. I mean, it's pre-Victorian. I haven't done my homework on it. I don't know how old it is, but it's probably early Georgian, is it? But in particular, I'm looking at the roof, which is a stone tile roof. Kind of difficult to tell with a stone tile roof whether it's in good condition or not, except that probably if there's no bits of stone falling off, flaking off, then probably it's in good condition. You'll note that there are little stone tiles at the top of the roof pitch and large ones at the bottom, and this arrangement is so that you can get an even covering of tiles. If you just jumbled them all up, it'd be pretty impossible to get a nice tile covering. If it was a very old roof, they'd be fixed with oak pegs, but I doubt it is a very old roof, and they're probably being hung from copper nails or something like that. But we'll go inside the roof and have a look, and we will probably be, well, I've already been in the roof, so I know we'll be very disappointed. So let's go. Well, we are in the roof of a grade 2 listed building, and we've got here a principal rafter, and it's supporting purlins. There they are, and they're supporting a carcass of common rafters, and there's a brace through the rafters, and it's a rather splendid roof until you turn around. If you turn around and look at the other side, it's been abused. So this pitch here is where the stone tiles are, and there is a little gap between these. I've lost my little gap, but there's a little gap up there, and there's no underlay, so all those stone tiles have now been glued and fused into place by this yellow gunk. Whether that's why it was put there, to try and alleviate roof leaks, but the tile covering looked quite good. But what it has done is, well, it's glued all the tiles together. It's going to make it very difficult to do repairs. It has botched up all these lovely old timbers. How you get it off I do not know, and if the whole roof had been encased in this stuff, it would be impossible to ventilate it too, so you end up with all sorts of damp and timber decay problems. Yeah, so what can I say? I mean, there is some argument, isn't there, that there's a porous version of this stuff and a less porous version, and one's better than the other. I can't remember really. Hollow cell, what is it also? I don't know what I'm talking about at this stage, so I'll shut up, but it's a bad thing.